Today, we delve into a profound aspect of human interaction, one that often goes unsaid, yet profoundly impacts the way we are perceived, the silent erosion of respect. And at the heart of this erosion often lies a subtle but significant disconnect when our words and our actions begin to diverge. We live in a world where communication is abundant, where declarations are easily made, promises are readily offered, and opinions are freely expressed. We tell people what we intend to do, what we believe, what our values are. We paint a picture of ourselves through our discourse. And for a time, perhaps, that picture holds. But observe closely. What happens when the brushstrokes of our words don't align with the canvas of our deeds? What happens when we declare our commitment to a task only to procrastinate and deliver a shoddy outcome? What happens when we espouse virtues of honesty and integrity, yet engage in small, seemingly insignificant deceptions? What happens when we promise to be there for someone, to support them, and then when the moment truly calls for our presence, we are absent, preoccupied, or simply unavailable? The impact is not immediate, not loud, not confrontational, but it is insidious. It's like a tiny crack appearing in a magnificent structure. At first, it's unnoticeable, a hairline fissure, but with each successive inconsistency, each time our actions betray our stated intentions, that crack widens imperceptibly at first, then undeniably. People may not voice their disillusionment, they may not confront you directly, but internally a shift occurs. A mental asterisk is placed next to your name, your credibility. That bedrock of respect begins to chip away. Consider the person who constantly speaks of their ambition, their grand plans, their desire for self-improvement, but never actually takes tangible steps. They talk about starting a business, but remain glued to their comfort zone. They speak of health and fitness, but continue habits that undermine their well-being. They articulate a desire for deeper connections, but consistently fail to nurture existing relationships. Over time, their words become hollow. They become background noise. People hear the words, but they see the inaction, and a quiet, profound skepticism takes root. The respect they once held for your potential, for your stated ideals, begins to wither. True respect is earned not just by what we say we are, but by who we prove ourselves to be. It's in the quiet consistency, the unwavering commitment, the alignment of our internal compass with our outward journey. When our actions consistently mirror our words, when our integrity becomes a visible, tangible force, then respect blossoms naturally. People observe not just your declarations, but your dedication. They see not just your intentions, but your execution. They witness not just your ideals, but your embodiment of those ideals. This isn't about perfection. We all fall short at times. We all make mistakes. But the crucial distinction lies in our response to those shortcomings. Do we acknowledge them? Do we strive for course correction? Or do we continue to present a facade, hoping that our words alone will suffice to maintain the illusion of integrity? The silent loss of respect is often a consequence of the latter. It's a consequence of believing that performance, rather than genuine alignment, is enough. Our journey into the subtle dynamics of respect continues. Today, let us shine a light on another common yet often unacknowledged habit that quietly diminishes how others perceive us: the pervasive, often unconscious tendency towards self-absorption. This isn't about outright narcissism, but rather a more nuanced, subtle form of it, where every conversation, every interaction, every moment somehow inevitably circles back to I, me, and my. Think for a moment about your conversations. When someone shares an experience, an achievement, a challenge, what is your immediate reflex? Is it to listen deeply, to ask clarifying questions, to genuinely engage with their narrative? Or does your mind immediately begin to sift through your own experiences, searching for a parallel anecdote, a similar struggle, a moment where you can interject with, "Oh, that reminds me of when I," or "You think that's tough, let me tell you about my situation." People at their core want to feel seen, heard, and understood. They want their experiences to matter, their feelings to be acknowledged. When you constantly redirect the conversational spotlight onto yourself, you deny them that fundamental human need. You signal that your internal world is more significant, more compelling than theirs. And while they may politely nod, outwardly engaged, internally a quiet withdrawal occurs. They might think, "Why bother sharing with this person? They're just waiting for their turn to talk about themselves." Consider the subtle cues. Do you interrupt frequently to interject your own thoughts? Do you hijack topics, subtly shifting them to your areas of expertise or interest? Do you dominate discussions, leaving little room for others to contribute meaningfully? Are you more interested in delivering your opinion than in understanding someone else's perspective? These are all hallmarks of self-absorption, subtle acts that chip away at the foundation of mutual respect. Life, undeniably, is complex. It throws curveballs. We encounter genuine injustices, unforeseen obstacles, and moments where we are truly at the mercy of forces beyond our control. This is the human condition. However, there is a distinct difference between acknowledging adversity and adopting a perpetual victim mentality. The latter involves a consistent narrative, where one's struggles are always the fault of others: the economy, the boss, the unfair system, unsupportive friends, bad luck, the weather, their past, their upbringing, anything and everything, but their own choices, actions, or inactions. Consider the person who constantly complains about their job but never seeks new opportunities or improves their skills. They blame their low salary on the company, their lack of promotion on office politics, their unhappiness on their colleagues, or the individual who struggles in relationships but always attributes the issues to their partner's flaws, never examining their own communication patterns or emotional contributions. Or the one who claims they can't achieve their goals because life keeps getting in the way, rather than acknowledging a lack of discipline or consistent effort. While empathy might initially be extended, repeated exposure to this narrative gradually wears down the listener's patience and, more importantly, their respect. Why? Because a persistent victim narrative signals an unwillingness to take ownership, an abdication of agency. It suggests a lack of courage to face one's own role in their circumstances and to actively seek solutions. People naturally gravitate towards those who demonstrate resilience, resourcefulness, and a proactive approach to challenges. When you consistently present yourself as powerless, you inadvertently project weakness and a resistance to growth. Furthermore, this constant externalization of blame can be draining for those around you. They might initially offer support, advice, or a listening ear. But if every suggestion is met with an excuse, if every effort to help is deflected by a reassertion of external culpability, exhaustion sets in. They begin to see you not as someone facing temporary difficulties, but as someone committed to their own helplessness. This is profoundly disheartening and leads to a quiet withdrawal of respect. They may feel that their efforts to assist are futile and that you are unwilling to genuinely help yourself. To earn respect, we must demonstrate an understanding that while external factors exist, our response to them, our attitude, and our efforts to adapt and overcome are fundamentally our own. It's about acknowledging challenges without surrendering to them. It's about saying, "Yes, this happened to me, but now, what can I do about it?" This shift from why me to what now is transformative. It demonstrates strength, resilience, and a fundamental belief in one's own capacity to navigate life's complexities. Taking responsibility even for aspects that were not initially our fault is a hallmark of maturity and character. It means understanding that while you may not control the wind, you can adjust your sails. It means focusing your energy on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, your choices, rather than dwelling on what you cannot. When you demonstrate this kind of agency, when you actively work towards solutions rather than endlessly cataloging grievances, you command genuine admiration. You show that you are a force to be reckoned with, not a leaf buffeted by every passing breeze. Let us cultivate the strength to look inwards, to honestly assess our own contributions to our circumstances, and to embrace the power of personal responsibility. For it is in this embrace that we find not only the path to growth and positive change, but also the profound respect of those who witness our unwavering commitment to our own empowerment. Shed the shackles of the victim narrative, and step into the power of self-mastery. In our reflection on the often unseen actions that chip away at the bedrock of respect, let us now address a particularly damaging habit: the casual, often unconscious breaking of commitments. This is not about the rare, unavoidable instance where circumstances genuinely prevent you from fulfilling an obligation. Rather, it's about a pattern, a recurring willingness to give your word, and then, with alarming regularity, to fail to follow through, often with flimsy excuses or no explanation at all. In the tapestry of human interaction, a promise, a commitment, is a thread of trust. It's a verbal contract, an unspoken agreement that you will deliver on what you have stated. When you say, "I'll be there at 9, or "I'll get that report to you by Friday," or "I promise to help you with that," you are creating an expectation. You are inviting another person to rely on you, to integrate your stated actions into their own plans and expectations. What happens when these threads are consistently broken? Each time you fail to show up on time, each time you miss a deadline, each time you retract a promise, that thread phrase, initially there might be understanding, perhaps even a degree of forgiveness. But as the pattern solidifies, as the instances of broken commitments accumulate, the threads snap one by one. The tapestry of trust unravels, and with it, respect quietly dissipates. Consider the professional context. A colleague consistently misses deadlines, delivers subpar work despite promising excellence, or cancels meetings at the last minute without compelling reasons. How long will their peers and superiors maintain respect for their capabilities and reliability? Not long. They will be perceived as unreliable, unprofessional, and ultimately untrustworthy. Opportunities will cease to flow their way, and their input will carry less weight. In personal relationships, the impact is equally devastating. Imagine a friend who perpetually promises to call back but never does, or to meet up but cancels at the 11th hour. Or a family member who makes commitments to support you emotionally or practically, only to vanish when you truly need them. Over time, you learn not to rely on them. You lower your expectations. And while you might still care for them, the deep respect born of reliability and dependability vanishes. Their word, once a source of comfort or assurance, becomes meaningless. It's just noise. The insidious nature of this habit lies in its quiet, cumulative effect. People don't often confront you directly about a broken commitment, especially if it seems minor, but they remember, they internalize it. They adjust their perception of you. They learn that your word is cheap, that your promises are unreliable, and that your commitment is ephemeral. This understanding operates beneath the surface, subtly altering how they interact with you, how much they confide in you, and how much they are willing to invest in a relationship with you. In our journey to understand the silent erosion of respect, let us now turn our attention to a pervasive, often subtle, yet deeply damaging habit: the unspoken arrogance of always needing to be right. This isn't about confident self-expression or standing firm on your convictions. It's about a relentless, often defensive insistence on intellectual superiority, a profound discomfort with being challenged, and an inability to entertain alternative perspectives, admit error, or even simply say, "I don't know." Firstly, it shuts down genuine dialogue. When one person is unwilling to consider alternative perspectives, the conversation ceases to be an exchange of ideas and becomes a monologue disguised as a discussion. Others quickly learn that their input is not truly valued, that their perspectives will be dismissed, and that engaging in intellectual discourse with you is a fruitless exercise. Why bother sharing your thoughts if they will only be met with immediate rebuttal and the unwavering assertion of their own correctness? Secondly, it fosters resentment. No one enjoys feeling intellectually inferior or being subtly put down or having their valid points steamrolled. When you consistently make others feel this way, they don't openly challenge you for fear of prolonging the futile debate, but they quietly resent it. This resentment festers, eroding the goodwill and respect they might otherwise have had for your intelligence or your character. Thirdly, it blocks growth. True intellectual growth comes from open-mindedness, from the willingness to learn, to challenge one's own assumptions, and to admit when one is wrong. The person who always needs to be right deprives themselves of this crucial learning opportunity. They wall themselves off from new information and diverse perspectives, stagnating their own intellectual and personal development. Others witness this intellectual rigidity and unconsciously begin to view you as inflexible, close-minded, and ultimately less impressive than someone who exhibits genuine intellectual humility. Humility in this context is not weakness. It is strength. It is the confidence to say, that's an interesting point, I hadn't considered it that way, or, I might be wrong about that, or even simply, I don't know, let's explore it. This demonstrates intellectual maturity, a genuine thirst for understanding and respect for the intelligence of others. It invites collaboration, fosters open dialogue, and builds stronger, more authentic relationships. When you are willing to admit error, when you are open to being corrected, when you listen with the intent to understand, rather than simply to respond, you create an environment where others feel safe to contribute, to challenge, and to learn alongside you. This makes you not only more approachable, but profoundly more respected. It shows that your pursuit is truth and understanding, not just the validation of your own ego. Let us cultivate the profound courage of humility. Let us release the exhausting burden of always being right and embrace the liberation of continuous learning. For it is in our willingness to be wrong, to be open, and to truly listen that we unlock not only deeper wisdom for ourselves, but also the enduring and authentic respect of those who witness our genuine intellectual integrity. Embrace the power of I might be wrong,